Hello, everyone. My name is Paulo, and today I'm joined with.
Nathan Gomez. Hey.
Welcome to The Journey. In this episode, we will talk a little bit about self development and just give our, points of views on the road of self development, how the road has been for Nathan, how it's been for me, and just have an open conversation about it.
Yeah, exactly. Like what we went through in our lives, what shaped us into the people that we're nowadays.
Yep.
And also what we find important techniques and methods that first of all brought us here, and also that we consider to develop us further into the future.
Yes, exactly.
But before we dive into that, I have two comments here that I wrote down that I would like to ask you, or you, Paulo, or just mention what my opinion was there. What I find I didn't clarify my position too well, or would like to talk a little bit more about. And the first point was last week we were talking a little bit about the future, or more specifically in this situation was about how we in our culture nowadays consider some people more valuable or more important than the others. And you, Paulo, said there, the reason why so many of us think that some lives are more important than others is because of American movies. I think this is true in part. Many of the American movies that we watch nowadays, and shows, TV shows and everything that influences us, does draw a very perfectionistic picture that we compare ourselves with, and we compare us or others to that. And then we see, oh yeah, this person doesn't look like this perfect picture that I saw in the magazine, so this person is not perfect and everything. But it is true what you said. But if that was true, if those movies and these TV shows were what makes us have these beliefs nowadays, this would mean that before this, let's say, American influence was there would be no such thing as prejudice or racism and all of those things, that this would be a new phenomenon. But actually it's rather not necessarily the other way around. It rather is that it seems to be something that is much more fundamental to human nature, and not something, maybe American movies and TV shows and everything, and influences. And
I guess by American movies and things like that, I just mean our upbringing.
Yeah.
The things that are being subconsciously taught to us since we were little.
So
your culture, your society, if you live in a very patriotic society, like America or anything like that, and your government is always talking about not necessarily giving so much influence or matter to other people's life, it's very hard to create a connection with those things. So before we had slavery, back in the day when we weren't necessarily, say, smart, so we just saw black people as animals essentially. But that doesn't necessarily mean that maybe children, when it's like there's a movie, what is it called, the boy in the white straps or something like that, right? The
boy in the striped pajama.
Exactly. So as children, our natural tendency is to really love and connect. We don't necessarily have those prejudices given to us, because a child is just a blank piece of paper. It doesn't know anything.
Yeah.
So a child by nature is another human and just wants interaction because it's curious. But if we're little, we're taught somehow that our lives are more valuable than other people's, it's very hard to connect with them, because some part of us thinks that's true, and we never get to question that part of us. So it might not necessarily be the movies, it might not necessarily be things like that. That was just an example.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's your upbringing, it's your society, it's how the people around you view others that has an influence on how you view others as well. And some people break that tendency. Some people are able to say, okay, you know what? I see this as wrong. This is not wrong. But that requires a lot of courage. Just like, for example, a black girl bringing a white dude into the family. Like, Even black people have those type of social, like, not kind of like social racism. Yeah, like you would bring the white dude because it's kind of seemed like, well, I would expect you to bring the black guy because that's what it's kind of expected, right? So it's the same thing. It goes the same for whites and it goes the same for blacks. So if our society and our upbringing doesn't value the lives of others, and we never actually get to contact those people or understand what they're going through, and all we listen is to the media and just essentially the people that want to benefit, then we're never going to be able to create that empathetic connection. So that was just an example. Maybe I should have elaborated a little bit more because it goes either way. No matter what race you are, it's about understanding how the people around you view other people and make an own judgment of, do I consider this right or wrong?
Yeah, and there I agree with you again that, this perspective, like, to be honest, let's start like this. I find it a good thing that we educate our kids, because if we wouldn't teach our kid, the stranger out there could be harmful. Well, if the kid just goes out and there's a kidnapper and takes the kid, like, there is a lot of danger that we prevent by giving our kid a certain kind of image. However, it is an important part of becoming mature, of becoming an adult, to learn that rules that you learned as a kid were set up. They are not fixed. No. And at the same time, I find it very important that we teach our kids
to protect your
rules
children, of course. Yes, but I think it's like you said, like, it has to come to a point where you as an adult, you have to understand that you can now protect your own self, and that I would say 98% of the people, they're not out there to harm you. There might be a part of you that is afraid because any time it saw this type of person as a kid, there you would be like, okay, stay away from that. But you don't know that person. You simply don't. And even your parents are making stereotypes of that person. Of course, it's good to protect your children, but it's also, as an adult, it's also good to be able to talk to those people. Like, for example, you see the people with the big tattoos and everything. Subconsciously, you might be scared shitless because you might consider that they do some harm. And some of those dudes with the big tattoos, big fat guys, they're actually one of the most loving people ever. But we don't never get to know those people because subconsciously we're completely afraid.
And because a big part of people who do things like this actually went through a lot of very negative things, and you can never be sure that this person is someone who dealt with it in a good way. Yeah. And, I mean, you need a certain kind of maturity to know, like, maybe even this person will seem pretty loving, but internally has still a lot of broken and destroyed things. You need a certain kind of maturity to be able to deal with that.
Yes.
And so in that sense, I think it's like probably a lot of American movies, TV shows, and just our surrounding in general, not improves, but magnifies fears and prejudices. But overall, a mature person is supposed to learn, and I think always learned as well, that certain prejudice or things that you learn as a child
things are not necessarily completely how they seem all the time. Of course, there's some times where the stereotype might be true, but I mean, how do you not
stereotypes, they apply general. They don't apply to the individual.
No, but I mean, I still think it's kind of a lot of your surroundings, and I don't know. For me, at least, like, this idea of being patriotic, like, kind of bugs me a lot, to be honest, because I part of my mind just can't seem to wrap around it. Might be because I've never really had that sense of patriotism, and I moved so much when I was little. So for me, ever since I was little, I always got to meet different type of people. So I was always around people from different cultures, and I understood that as human beings, we're basically the same. So we all want the same, but we separate ourselves. So that idea, like, bugs me a lot, because somehow even though right now at the tempo of the age we are, our world is very safe. Like, we don't need war. We don't need those things. We have all the technologies. We can be abundant. We have everything to become abundant. Yet we have so much fear that we're going to be attacked or just betrayed by others. And I think it's just this politicians, like big money that is just being involved. And it's turned into what's real and what's important for us as a human race into just a big business. The world has become into a business. And life is not a business. Life is not meant to be a business. Life is something that you're meant to experience. So we have to, in a sense, understand others, help others, and let go of those indoctrinated beliefs that are given to us. And like, go out there, travel, meet. If you have a prejudice against someone, go to the country, get to know the people there. If they're the same as you were being taught before, okay, well, you consider them to be the same, go away. But you might be able to learn something. And it's not until you go and you actually talk to them that you will learn.
But at the same time, people, like, cultures is not something invented. Cultures is something quite real. People with a different language, they don't think in the same way as you do. They don't consider the same thing logic or self-evident as you do. And I don't think that takes away the fact that we can still just communicate, respect each other, and live in harmony and learn from one another. That's the main point. This thing with living in harmony, again, for other people in other countries, living in harmony is a very different thing than what you might consider to live in harmony with one another.
I think the premise of living in harmony is pretty standard. It's respecting, forming a community, laughing, creating friendships. That's living in harmony, not fighting. That's harmony.
Oh, but now, for instance, you said laughing with one another. This can mean very different things in a lot of different cultures. And then someone might consider living in harmony that you share all of your food. Like, if someone invites you, whatever, everything that I have at home belongs to you as well, and you're able to use. So, for instance, if you I've heard, for instance, in the Middle East, if you make someone a compliment, whatever, you have a nice watch, he will think, oh, you want to have my watch, and he will give it to you. Or probably not give it to you, but maybe be offended or something. Like, it is still, like, it's not that easy to just say, I respect everyone and it will be fine.
But if you understand their culture, and for example, you say you have a nice watch and they try to give it to you, and you're like, oh, hey, no, in my culture, we just compliment you by that. I respect your culture. Thank you. You respect my culture. Thank you. Don't need to overcomplicate anything. That's the thing. As long as you understand where that person is coming from, and that person understands where you're coming from, you can respect one another. If you invite him to your house, you treat them as a guest as you would invite him in your culture. If they invite you to your house, and it is courteous for them to give you food or things like that, and it is disrespectful for you not to accept it, you man the fuck up. You say, okay, I'm going to accept it. And you accept it. Harmony. It's that simple. But it's able to understand where the other person is coming from as well. Not just saying, this is the way that my culture is. Why are you being different? Like, no. Hey, you're different. This is cool. Let's try it. And you might not like it. And I might not want to necessarily commune with people from your own culture. You don't have to commune with everyone from different all paths of life. You don't have to do that. But...
And I mean, I agree with you. I would consider this to be harmony as well. What I meant is that not every culture would see that as harmony. It would be, I think, a little bit too...
I think as a human being, I don't know, like, if you feel respected, there's not, and you don't feel like you're being attacked, there's no reason for you to attack. So, as long as you respect, you can live in harmony. And as long as there's a mutual understanding, a conversation, then there can be hammering. The difficult part is having the conversation because of language barriers.
And also, our Western goal of seeking harmony is not something that might be shared by other cultures.
Yeah. They might just want to be left alone.
Yeah.
And we should respect that.
Mm-hmm.
But in our Western world, at least,
Yeah.
we could have, harmony within our Western countries.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't have that in our Western world. Our Western world is completely fucked up. I mean, they can even have harmony within a country.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
I mean, it's difficult. I'm not saying harmony is an easy step to get to.
Well, I'm not entirely sure if anyone ever really figured out how to get to that in the first place. But yeah, well, that's that far.
Yeah.
The second point that I wanted to mention or to speak about, another thing that you said, and I like to comment on, is when you said that it might not matter at all if we have different beliefs. Well, you're right, and I agree that certain details don't matter to me. However, certain things I firmly believe in, and that's why I consider myself a Christian, and I would not compromise on those fundamental things. So, in that way, I don't really agree that fundamentally it doesn't matter. I would say it's rather the opposite. Superficially, on the surface, it doesn't matter. If I don't have much to do with you, I can say like, okay, well, I have my belief, you have your belief, it's fine, we don't need to clash. Mm-hmm. However, the closer we get, the more unity and the more like we have to do with one another, the more we do together, the more we have to also synchronize, we have to align with one another. And I mean, some beliefs allow to stay next to one another, but fundamentally, the deeper you go, the more significant, the closer you get together, the more significant differences will be. And I believe for us so the context of this was, if we want to look into the future, to form a society of unity and world peace and everything. And I said, I believe that we need a common belief and a common faith for that. And you said it might not matter at all what we believe in. And what you also said is what you meant with that is the premises of like how the universe was created and everything. But I mean, those, I wouldn't even call it theories. I would more call it stories about how the universe was created, sets the basis about how a certain culture or religion sees the world.
I think
so. If the culture says, like, human was created above the animal kingdom, it will mean that this culture or this religion will say and will put the values in a certain way that it puts the human values higher than any other.
But that already exists. Like, we have humanism. Like, no matter what, any human thinks its life is more valuable than others people's life. That's what the majority of people believe, at least. So what I mean by that is, I don't, the nitty-gritty details, I don't think they're so important. And I think those details, they put us in a box. And we can only see so much because the box has a certain depth and height, and we can only see that. There might be a different possibility, different ways of living life where we can have more of an open mentality and be able to respect one another and say, oh, this person believes that. Oh, I find that curious. I can see some of my aspects. We don't have to agree in it 100% because we can realize that at the end of the day, both of us are clueless. Like, no matter what, the fact that we're seeking truth, the mere fact that we're seeking something means that we don't know it. Means that we haven't understood it yet. Yeah. That's exactly what it means. So unless you completely understand it, and unless you completely get it, you have to respect the opinions of completely everyone else because they're going through the same thing. And once you understand it, once you get it, if it worked for you and it doesn't work for another person, you have to be able to stay in your ground and say, this is what I believe. But that wouldn't take it away from other beliefs, because we see life through different lenses. We all experience different things. So our basic understanding comes from different experiences.
Yeah.
So we can't say, well, this person's, for example, in Eastern philosophy, they talk about the chi, the prana, this energy primordial force. And then you have the Westerns, like just different views of religion. And they might be talking about the same thing, but just because of how people were raised, because of everything that has shaped them, it's a different interpretation. And language is limited. We have to understand that language is completely limited. So if you understand the truth within yourself, and I think any enlightened person, like a real guru, wouldn't be fighting against other guru. He would understand that I got it. That other person, he might get his truth. He might get his wisdom in another way. And that's completely okay. Because I believe once you understand yourself, you're completely fine with everyone trying to be lost or understanding in their own way. Because that's what we're all trying to do. But we can still live in a place where we encourage the seeking of truth in our own way, where we're able to have open conversations, love each other, and respect each other. Because no matter what your beliefs is, you want to be respected. You want to be appreciated. That's all. And if you can give someone appreciation, if you can say, hey, I respect your view, I nurture you. However you want to discover yourself, whatever path you go through, I'll be there and I'll support you. They'll do the same. So,
well, and that assumes again that whatever path the other person is on will see appreciation and peace with the other people as the highest goal as well.
Well, I mean, I think if you're in appreciation and peace with yourself, there's absolutely no reason to not be in peace with others. I think the world is, for me, in my opinion, it's a reflective mirror.
Exactly, and in our opinion, that is very true. I agree with that.
And it's the same thing with Eastern philosophy. They talk about the same thing. It's something that is shared mutually. You might be able to interpret it differently, or it might not necessarily entrance the thought enough, but it's a fundamental thought. And it's many things that all the philosophers come to this conclusion. As a human being, no matter where you come from, if you fundamentally look inside, you're going to get to a level of understanding that is essentially shared throughout all human race. Yeah. The interpretation might be different. That's the thing. The interpretation might be different and might be seen different by other people.
Yeah.
But I think the core is the same.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think what belief and religion helps you is to get the same interpretation. Is to say, this is our common goal.
Yes.
And this is what I meant as well. We have to have a common goal. We have to have a common, and that's why I said religion, because I see this formulation of core values. This is what constitutes a belief or a religion. Yeah. And this is what I think we need to have a unity to form a unity in the future.
Of course we do. But to be honest with you, with the current religions and just scripts that are given to us, I don't believe that's possible. Because I think, I don't know, the way that I view just Jesus or Buddha or anyone like that is, from my life experience, I know that the human being is greedy, tries to mold things into its own.
Yeah.
History can be altered. So, and this is one of the things that I struggle the most with the Bible, is that you can have great wisdom. You can give great wisdom to people, where you can say oh, hey, I can believe this, I can follow this. But you might also be able to twist it just a little bit to create some separation. And it is that little twist of separation or a misinterpretation that happens along the way that creates the confusion.
Yeah. So
where did Buddha, for example, reach his knowledge, or Gandhi, or anyone that we consider great? Within. They looked within. So unless we're able to look within openly and understand ourselves and be in peace with ourselves, we cannot be in peace with others. So, of course, it's important to look at these masters, because it's a motivational. It's they went through a lot of things. It was difficult. It's any type of spiritual journey is going to be difficult. But you still have to be able to go with it and be okay, and question and understand, because it's going to be confusing as hell. But I believe once you reach that level of inner peace within yourself, and you're like, this is me, raw, I accept myself, you will accept others, because you will understand the suffering that you had to go through to understand that, and you will have the compassion to actually allow others to go through that same journey. So yeah, that's just kind of like where I see it. And of course we need to have a definite goal, but for me, the definite goal of humanity should be for us to help each other understand the truth, live in harmony and not fight, commune, create, because that's what we're good at. We're good at creating things. But I don't think the way that we kept going with our technologies and just separate religions, we've caused a lot of conflict. We've caused a lot of harm to our nature, and we've been very squared. So if we want to change, we have to be able to think differently. And that's the most difficult thing about the human mind, is to be able to change, because change is uncomfortable. You do not like change. We do not like it.
No.
So, and that's, I guess this is where we can start heading more into the self-development. Like this is the whole premise of the talk is really about self-development. And I think for me, self-development is being able to openly see what behaviors or habits that you're doing have been detrimental, and be able to understand them like deeply. Go back to the experience that actually caused that habit of defense or whatever type of mechanism that you created to cope with a pain that happened in your life. Go with it, heal it now as an adult, and being able to understand that you are now strong. You can create that part because you have that inner child, and there's that inner child that is suffering, and we have to be able to go back into it. And the road of self-development is very difficult because it's learning about yourself every single day. What you like, what you don't like, what you hate, what you love, everything. That's difficult. So
yeah. And so it was a lot that you said, and a few points that I'm trying to keep in my mind what I would like to say to that. And let's maybe start with the last one, this inner child. Yes, there is a part in ourselves that has feelings, that has things that want to be expressed. And it is very important that we get to know what is it that I like to do, what is it that... How do I work? How do I function? But it's also very important to know that we cannot just let it out. We have to be... and this is what I see as growing up and becoming a more developed person, that is to know how to restrain yourself. To know when can I show my feelings and when is it inappropriate? When will it be disturbing for others? When will it actually be weird for others?
A balance.
Find a balance. And so what I find very important is that we know in which environment we can allow our feelings, and that we also all have this kind of environment. And there is where I find it very sad that our family structures nowadays is getting more and more destroyed, and the parents have to... Actually, nowadays, both parents have to go to work. It's not even that women really still get the choice of just being a mother at home. No, women actually have to work nowadays to feed and sustain the family. And so more and more this environment that we have, or that you could have at home. I'm not saying that it always worked like that.
It doesn't even have to be at home, really.
Well, the family is the most intimate environment that you have. I'm not just saying in the house, but the environment that a family creates is a very intimate one, and one where you were, at least ideally, where you trust one another and where you can be 100% open to one another. Because whenever you step out of the door, whenever you step out of this environment, there will be strangers. There will be people that you didn't live your entire life together with. And so you cannot be as open as you could be with people that you trust. And so it is very important that we learn also the distinction, not only to get to know ourselves, to get to know this is how I function, but also where is it, and also that we learn how to create the environment to express ourselves.
Yeah. And that's something that I was about to say, because I mean, at least for something that has happened in my life lately, is that I've been really trying to be able to be more open with my friends, more complete open of just how I feel, and creating a trusting environment where I can speak and they can speak to me. Because like you said, the family environment is very good. It's very important. And I think the most important thing to take from a family is that no matter, like, having that environment can be deeply healing and deeply helpful. But we can also, like, we have to, in a sense, think that we can also have those environments with other people as well. We can create those friendships. We can have friendships where we can be completely open. Yeah. Like, of course, that friendship is not going to develop at the beginning. Like, you're just going to be completely open to someone. I mean, there's people that you might connect to more easily and that you may be able to open up easier. But I think once you trust a person enough, you also have to be able to trust them. Like, you might say, like, okay, I trust them, but there's a difference between, okay, I trust them and showing the trust, showing how you really feel. You know, like, hey, I'm here, and create those healing environments. And that's something that I've been trying to come up with more with my friends of, this is how I feel, how do you feel? And just putting myself out there. Because I think it's important to do that as well. Because, I mean, many of us, at least in university, we're far away from home. We, you move away, and moving away is not easy. Moving away from your house, from your family, from your friends, it's something that is very complicated. So, since we feel alone, we develop defense mechanisms not to show parts of us that maybe weren't appreciated before, or just insecurities. We all have our stuff. So, but once you have friends and you had a friendship for quite a bit, I think it's also important to maybe release the blocks and the kind of like, okay, maybe I can talk to this person. I can be open. And just create this environment, because they're necessary, I think. And I think people want to conversate. People want to share their emotions. And I see it a lot with my friends, very restricted emotions. Like, you might not necessarily know how they feel, and then they talk to you and you're like, whoa, this is really how you feel? I didn't even know you felt this way. So, but it's important to also have the courage to say, this is how I feel. This is the type of relationship that I want to have. Because I think I've come to a place in my life where I was away from home. I have a lot of friends. I trust them, they love me, but I never really showed. So now it's like, okay, we're friends, we trust each other. Why don't we create that environment of trust? It's kind of like we separate ourselves because we know we want to talk with one another, but it's very difficult to talk with one another, so we kind of just push it away. So,
and I mean, ultimately, friends are not the same as family. And so friends, in some way they are, because they are people that
and you're like the family you choose, in a sense.
It's the family you choose. But at the same time, they will not be as much around as a family. Like, friends, especially friends that we meet here. I don't know if I will still have anything to do after I graduate or they graduate. I don't know if we will still be in touch in a year from now. I don't know. So things like friends change. And so, okay, I see myself, or I am preparing myself to one day be able to be a father for a family. And this is a set goal that I have. And I want to, and I see, I want the partner that I have one day to be a woman that I can fully trust. A person where I can say, this is basically my best friend. Yes. Because this will be then, again, the best environment for the kids.
And it should be the foundation of any relationship. It's trust.
Well,
Complete trust. Someone that you feel comfortable with being yourself.
Yes, but I don't think that it is something necessarily healthy if you know that the relationship might not last, to be 100% open to someone, because you can never know if that person, like, in a sense, you like, to trust anyone is a very naive thing, I would say.
Yeah.
So not to trust anyone, like to trust everyone that is around you is a very naive thing. Like, it is very important to select the people that you trust, and also to, I mean, at some point you have to do the step of faith and just say, okay, I decide I can trust this person and I will open up. But so I think it is important that we open up more to our friends nowadays. I absolutely agree with you that in our society, especially here in Central Europe, we are very close and very distant to one another. So talking and being more open to one another is very important. On the other hand, I myself, as Central European, as German, feel very uncomfortable with the thought of just going out and just like that, trusting someone that I haven't known for more than a month or something.
Yeah.
Because, like, you cannot just...
I mean, I don't think it's like, maybe not trust them in the sense that you're going to tell them every single little bit of your life details.
Yeah.
No, you don't have to tell them the experiences that shaped you into becoming the person that you are.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, and it's something that a friend told me, was sometimes it's very hard to know you because you don't necessarily, maybe throughout my friends, I express my emotions more, but maybe with strangers, I don't express it so much. Because I'm a very expressive person. I feel deeply. I'm a very emotional man. I cry a lot, and I have a very strong feminine energy within myself. Females, they're able to express their emotions and see it through time. Like, for example, when a woman crying, that's just a woman crying. But man cries, or is like having a mental breakdown, and just like feeling super sad. It's like, oh wow, is that guy okay? For a girl, it's like, oh, it's just a girl. But for me, I grew up with my mother, so I'm always very expressive. I'm very emotional. And it's sometimes very difficult to express those emotions because it's not necessarily seen as something strong in our society or whatever. And then I got to this point where I was like, well, I'm very expressive. I would consider myself to have a very feminine energy. I like to act. I like to joke around. It's like my true self. But I suppress that with my environment a lot because it's also knowing the place, right? But there's places where I am allowed to be that part of me, but I still don't do it, right? So she told me, like, okay, how do you expect someone to truly love you if you don't show them who you truly are? And at the end of the day, that's where it comes down to, of do I love myself enough to say this is me, put myself out there and wait for the right people to come into my life? Because that's the leap of faith that you have to take. You have to appreciate yourself enough to be able to say, this is me raw. I don't have to tell you all the life details of my life. I don't have to tell you all of that. But I can show what I like. I can show my love. I can show my experience. I can show my emotions. That you can do. You don't have to tell them everything of this is what I do. No, not that.
Well, you can do it if that is your personality. If that is who or how you feel like you want to express it.
Yeah. But I think it's an expression at the end of the day. Like, your uniqueness. There's something fundamental to it. Like, every single one of us has something unique. And
well, if I would say if you have the environment, like, let's say at home or when you hang out with your friends, where you can be open, you will not have the need to act like this when you're on the street.
I mean, just when you meet people in general, like, just showing yourself. Yeah. Like, this is me. Like, I think that's something that we fundamentally need to do. Because how, like, if you get to know a person and they're giving this fake smile or this this fake persona.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, oh, I like this person, they seem genuine, whatever. Maybe trust them a little bit. Then you get to really know them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not the way they are. Maybe they're sad, maybe just have a lot of attitudes that they don't necessarily show, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, well, where do they come from? So, but what if they were actually genuine of this is how I am? They express that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think through expressing yourself,
Mm-hmm.
like truly expressing what you want, what you desire, slowly you also understand yourself on a more deep level.
Mm-hmm.
And you're able to balance the different aspects within yourself. But if you never, ever express it and you just repress it, that's going to create an imbalance.
Yeah. So
you have to be able to learn how to balance them, but
Mm-hmm.
you still have to be truthful to yourself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying like if if you're in a funeral or something, you're not gonna be like acting all silly, like, oh, this is me, I'm all silly. No, of course not. You have some respect. But if you're in an environment where you can express yourself, do it.
Mm-hmm.
Do it. And I think many of us we're still given the environment, and we still don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
Insecurities.
Yeah. And I think this is where, like, a lot of people see us Europeans or Central Europeans as very cold and distant. And that is because we like order.
Yeah.
We like when things are predictable and when things are, when things are ordered in a way. And if someone expresses feelings, that is something confusing. That is something that even if you're used to it, you cannot predict it. It is a very different approach that people have in America, like Middle
in Mexico,
or Southern America, or in the warmer countries. Oftentimes, I would say warmer cultures. I don't know. To just normal human interaction than people here in the colder countries in Central Europe have, because for us it's very
it's difficult.
Well, it is difficult, yes. And I mean, this is really what a culture is.
Yeah.
It is that you know how others will behave, and that you, I mean, in a way, understand them as well. I mean, even when you are distant in a certain way, but you are used to people around you being distant, you will still know, okay, this is how they will behave and this is how we will go about things. If I am in Brazil and I know everyone will be open and laughing and talking about stuff, they will still not show all of their emotions. Even though if they are sad, they will cry and everything. A lot of, like in Brazil, they have even though they're considered very open, very emotional, everything, they are very artificial. And then more in a emotional way artificial. Here in Europe, we're more artificial in a cold, controlled way. In other countries, and I don't know how it is in Mexico, you're just more used to probably show or let out emotions, but it still doesn't necessarily mean that you're more true to yourself.
Well, I think your ability to feel your emotions, not suppress them, it is being truthful to yourself. That's, at least from my personal views, this is how I feel openly. This confuses me. I don't understand this. Open about it.
Well, but you can articulate it. You don't have to let it out.
You can articulate it.
That is also being true to yourself.
Yeah,
if
but
you're
many
feeling
of us
sad,
also don't articulate it. When we feel sad, you don't have to show sad, but you someone's talking to you and you're like, I'm okay, but I'm sad. You don't need to see me cry, but at least it can tell you, you know what, I'm not really okay today. I feel very sad. Whatever. And just explain it. You don't have to cry, but at least let another person know. And I don't think many of us do that. All right. And I mean, for example, in Mexico, when someone asks you, and they can kind of tell that maybe you haven't been so truthful, they share, they open, they have a laugh, you cry, you create that bond. Because I think also to be able to share your emotions with another person, you create bonds. By being honest with another person, that's how you create the bonds.
That is true.
So, in Mexico, we don't necessarily have much money. And even warmer countries, they don't have much money, but people are happy. They're very happy. They create a community. They laugh, do all the things. Here in Sweden, people are very rich.
Yeah.
But they might not necessarily be very happy. So I think just because culturally, we are like, that's just the way things are. Because if you can think of culture as this is the way things are. This is the way people have behaved.
Yeah.
But I think sometime we have to come to a point where we're like, okay, are these attitudes really beneficial for us? And if they're not culturally beneficial for us, why are we not changing them? Because culture is something also that can change. It's also that is something that is evolving. If someone comes and has a great impact upon the culture of the community will adapt to it. So it's important to also see how the behaviors in a culture are affecting us and whether they're good or not. But
this is very true. Like, cultures are not equal. I think there's some cultures who have a lot of benefits and others who have probably what's the opposite of benefit? The problems with it overweigh the benefits.
Deficits? Or
deficits, but doesn't really apply in this context. But you know what I mean. And but at the same time, there are really benefits to our European culture here that I don't see in, let's say, Southern American or American cultures. For instance, one of my friends some time ago, he said that he really learned to appreciate that German girls are very intentional about things. Like, if they open up, then they are a lot more, like, also committed. They are a lot more honest. Like, they don't just, pretend to be happy or emotional about things. They're very controlled, but they know how to, like, articulate, or they're much more intentional about things that they do.
Okay.
And a certain, and I think we're kind of on the same page on that, because to show your emotions, what you also said a few times was to articulate them. It is not just, so what you're saying is not only about expressing emotions uncontrolled, but expressing them in appropriate ways. Like, you don't need to cry every time that you're sad. You can also just say, hey, I'm not feeling fine today. It is a mixture of the two. I think the way how we here in Europe oftentimes deal with it, and many people who are not used to the culture find it very strange and unrelatable, is that we deal with it more privately. We don't like to share it that much, and it works. It might not work as well, but it works.
But I think also many
well
people
enough that
don't know how to. I feel like many people also don't know how to even express their own emotions privately.
I think we have. That's how we deal with it.
I have some friends that are like, I feel this way, this way, but I don't know how to express it. I can't let it out. Yeah. So it is important to articulate it, but it's also important to feel it. Whether that be with another person, whether that be in private, you still have to feel it and go through it and allow it to. It's an energy, you just have to just let it go. Sometimes you just have to let it go.
Yeah.
So it's not just, okay, maybe you can articulate it with another person if you don't necessarily feel comfortable enough to cry in front of people or anything like that.
Yeah.
But sometimes if there's a really hard emotion that you're having and it really hurts, I don't think suppressing it is the best thing to do.
No. Because I think that a lot of people actually, I don't know if you can see that or not, or if I just don't really see it in the way how you're describing, or why I don't see it the way how you're describing it. I see it that a lot of people, they do express their emotions, but in private, in their homes, with their families. And the more the family bondage is destroyed nowadays, the more this place where we used to be able to express our feelings and our intimate emotions, this is getting more and more drawn out by other things in our society that is coming in and destroying it. But I think I have very good friends, and when I talk to them or when I meet them, they're not very emotional about things, but I know, or they told me also, and through getting to know them, I know that in their homes they have good places where they can deal with their emotions, where they can articulate them.
Mhm.
And
Yeah, but I
probably
mean-
where more and more people nowadays, why they are getting more like this is either like we have a lot of people here in Europe that originally are not European, that did not grow up with this, or whose parents didn't grow up with this culture. So there is this that when you come from a warmer country, you come here and then you suddenly end up in this community where no one really interacts with
Yeah.
you, but they also don't know at home how to deal with the things. And like, yeah, then you have a problem because you don't learn from your parents how to
Yes.
deal with it. And at the same time, the family is more and more under attack. So even Europeans who, I mean, here in Europe, we have a lot of these family meetings, or we used to have family meetings, feasts, meetings where we gathered at home, sat together, ate, whatever, like have community. But, that's getting more and more lost as well. Like,
but I mean, even for me, I think,
Mhm.
like with my family, like I think between like my mom and like my aunts and stuff, they've always kind of been very cold with one another,
Mhm.
not necessarily share too much, like truthfully. With my mom, I was always able to talk with my mom honestly, and I've always had that backbone. Like no matter how bad I felt, or just anything, my mom was always there for me. So I was always just able to talk to her, be like, I feel bad, or this is how I feel. So it really created this really good bond with my mom where it was just open. And I think somehow along the way, when I was, I don't know, maybe 16 or something like that, we kind of lost touch a little bit. She was stressed at work, just many things. And that's kind of where I feel like we kind of lost that, or I lost that person where I could just be myself completely open with.
Mhm.
And then it wasn't up until I really met my mom last time that I was able to share my emotions more truly now.
Mhm.
Because I'm going to be honest with you, I think the most difficult part for me, one of the most difficult experiences that I've ever lived, was leaving home.
Mhm.
Was that last hug I gave my mom.
Mhm.
Just thinking about that memory breaks my heart. It really does. Because it's someone that I grew up with. I love my mom. No matter what, I love her to death. And I miss her every single fucking day. And it's difficult sometimes to, even now that we're so far away, being able to express that to her. Because it's like, a part of me is like, hey, I miss you, I want you here. But it also doesn't want to go there because it doesn't want to get hurt.
Mhm.
So our conversations don't necessarily go fully into it because I know there's a part of me that is like kind of protecting itself,
Mhm.
So I think it's important to at least let it out sometimes and be like, this is how I feel.
Yeah.
So not suppress them, because I think that's what causes the most problems.
Yeah.
And being able to deal with them. Dealing with your emotions, it's probably the most difficult thing you'll do as a person. Being able to control them and balance them. But it's important, if you really have a feeling that needs to be let out, or you really want to talk about something, don't suppress it. Just speak about it. Because it will make you grow. No matter what happens, it will make you grow. I think crying, letting your anger out, all of these things, and being able to understand the humanity that you have, it's a fundamental process of self-development, of really trying to understand where you come from, where you want to go. So, yeah, that's just the way I view it.
There's something that I just realized while you were talking, and it's exactly this point, leaving home. I know that long time, I don't know how long time ago, but it used to be like this, that you actually didn't leave home unless you were getting married, unless you were going into this new relationship, making a new family. And I think back then people would not have this kind of problem.
No.
Because you would, from that family environment, go into
Another
a new
family.
environment, a new family where you create this. And I think really where we have this problem now is that our society doesn't support this anymore, of getting into a stable relationship and into like looking towards creating a family, because that creates this vacuum in between, like because probably most of us will one day have a family, but we have this time in between where we discover the world, where we find our job, do our apprenticeships and everything, which is good, which is nice. It still has a lot of deficits that we don't
emotional
talk
deficits.
so much. Yeah,
that's the thing.
Deficits.
But that's, I think, back to our old conversation. That's where I think having those friendships of people where you can trust, creating a familiar environment, creating like a new family, really. Like it, if you trust these people, if you know them for a while, at least have that, share that love, because I think it's sometimes so difficult to share love with your friends. Like, I love my friends, and sometimes I see how I kind of stay away because I don't know how to express that love. It's like, well, because you don't feel so, in a sense, secure about it. Because, your mom, you love your mom, you know that you're going to go and hug her, and then she's going to, hug you back, and she's going to love you back. With a friend, sometimes, like, giving that love, even though, you might feel the same, it's very difficult to completely know. But I think if you step out, if you start showing that love, if you start showing those emotions, and they feel it back, then slowly you start creating that kind of familiar environment. And you start creating the trust with one another and being like, this is how I feel. You're a little bit more open, so you don't have to feel less alone. You might not necessarily feel the same that you felt when you were with your family, because that's a very strong bond.
Yeah.
But you can at least feel safe, appreciate it, and that you can speak out how you feel. So, but it's important to take a leap of faith. And that's the difficult part.
Yeah.
Because we also, if you left your home, or if you've had friends that have come and gone, like I've traveled so many times in my life, and I love so many friends, and I've created really deep friendships where I'm just with 2-3 people where I can be myself with, open with, consider them like a brother. And then you had to leave, right? Yeah. So then finding another brother is difficult, because you know that brother, you will have to eventually leave as well, because you're going to go into a different path.
Yeah.
But there's 2 ways of seeing it as, okay, I'm just going to close myself down, and I'm not going to let love into my life. I'm not going to let people in my life until I find someone. It's a road that is very difficult and painful, because throughout all the journey, you're going to be very lonely. Or I'm going to love openly, be myself, create friendships. And I'm going to have brothers all over the place. I'm going to take the leap of faith. It might hurt when you leave them, but I think, at least for me, one of the most, like, shocking, or like one of the things that I love the most is that when you have a really close friend and you go away 2 years, 3 years, however long you go away, and you come back and you see them, it's like it was yesterday. The connection is there. You can trust them. They might have changed a little bit, but you also learn how they change. But the love is there, So I think it's crucial for us to do that.
Yeah. And especially in this idea of having a family, that this is where the Christian idea of seeing God as your father comes into. Because we know that we have earthly parents, they're humans, they fail and everything, but God is our heavenly Father. He is our perfect Father, who always listens to us, who loves us unconditionally, who will be always there for us, and who will also take care for us. And the church or the body of Christ, is what we Christians see as our family, as our second family. Christians call each other brothers and sisters in the Bible. We are to create this bondage. Yeah. And what I still find important is this bondage is not just, go and be open to everyone. It is very important that these people that I open up to, they have the same value system as they have the same idea of what is love, and to respect the emotions that I show towards them. A very sad thing, what I think, is that many churches don't have this sense of community and supportiveness to one another, but in the basic idea of a church and of the community of Christians is to have this family environment, to be welcoming for everyone with all of their needs and everything. And this is what the church was promoting from the start.
An ideology, church says, like, love your neighbor like if it was your brother, like your sister. Yet many people in countries that are supposed to be Christians completely hate the immigrants and they hate all these things. So ideology things are supposed to work, but practically they don't work. So I think something that we have to get to is the core. Why is this not working? What are we teaching wrong? Where we deviate somewhere along the teaching, somehow we deviate. We create some sense of falsehood or just something that we don't get the true message, the real message of what it's supposed to be, love, how we're supposed to commune with one another. That is what the Bible or any religion really encompasses, the realness. We lose that along the path. Somehow we do something to fuck it up. So we have to get to the core, I think. And for me at least, I think that comes from first from within. Like, okay, I see these teachings. I understand this. Am I living by them? Am I truly respecting? Am I truly loving others just as I would like them to love me and respect me? If not, how can I heal this? Because it's an attitude. It's a personality that is coming from the inside out at the end of the day. You might know the teachings. You might know this. If I follow this, your life will be great. I believe if you follow the Bible or any teaching step by step and you really live by it, your life will be great. Because you will be surrounded by love. You will be surrounded by peace. It is that simple.
Yeah, but it is. And really, the Bible is very extreme on it. It says, whenever you don't love your neighbor, love is not in you. And God, you're obviously not following God, because God is love. God is compassion in itself, in himself. And yes, a lot of people that consider themselves Christian, and even I myself see myself fail so often exactly on that point. And it is a journey. It is something that you grow in. And what is very important is, like, as I also said last time, it's very important with what you feed yourself. Because whenever you feed yourself with, let's even say, a teaching that is mostly good, it will get you to a maybe better place, maybe not, but only if you have a really pure and good teaching, you will not get to a better place. And so this is why I think that it is so important to read the Bible regularly and to study really what the core is, because this means that you fill yourself, you get your input set in the right way. And
it's all about like, and I think with even with Zen Buddhism, and I think I mentioned this before, it's about selecting a master. It's important to select a master, a guide. That's simple. Because the guide, whoever he may be, Jesus, Buddha, whoever he may be, as long as you truthfully believe him, and you go completely with him, and you don't switch from back and forth into one of them, you're gonna reach that. But you have to trust it completely.
And also, if this master really leads you, or really leads you,
it has to be a good
place.
One too. It can be a scam.
yeah.
But
yeah, exactly.
But
yeah, so it is. So to maybe sum it up, the way towards so it is a journey.
Yeah.
It is something that you have to intentionally work on. It has also to do with what your environment is, and just having personal friends, and friends that want the best for you, and who you can truly trust. These are what we would say essential. Things,
and I think as well, for self-development, something that is essential is to have trust in yourself, love in yourself, appreciation in yourself, all aspects of yourself. Because if you don't love yourself, how are you supposed to love others? And I think that's, for me, at least, that's the fundamental core when it comes to me. It's like, okay, do I love myself? Do I appreciate myself?
Mm-hmm.
If I do that, if I trust myself, if I believe myself,
Mm-hmm.
if I'm in peace with myself, I know everything else will work out because I will be in peace with others. I will come from a place of love because all I feel for myself is love. So
I would actually.
You don't have to agree with this, and
No,
I'm completely
no.
fine with it.
Because really, I don't think that you can not love yourself. You
Oh,
can.
no, come on, man. The inner critic is here's the thing about the mind.
Mhm.
The inner critic is
It is pride.
it is the ego. It
Yeah,
is
and
the
that
mind.
is
Yes.
love. And egoism is love for yourself.
Mm.
Yes, it is. Egoism is self-centeredness. It is self-seeking. This is the ego. To let go of yourself, to allow others to be more important than you. This is when you love. When you don't take yourself as the highest, this is when you let go. The ego, the love of yourself, this is when you center everything around you. This is loving yourself.
Yeah, but I mean,
To accept that you are not like that you are someone who fails, someone who is probably sometimes even not lovable.
yes.
This is to to be able to love others and to appreciate others.
I guess, but like
It is self-sacrifice.
it is, but I guess more than anything, it's like when I mean to love yourself, is love yourself to a point where you can be open to being hurt, to being open to just in kind of like in a sacrificing way of.
But this has nothing to do with yourself.
No. But the way I don't see the self as the self. I see the self as everything. So it's very difficult, but I still think that there are parts of you, like, you know, the mind. It can be a horrible master. It can be a great servant. So no matter what, it's still part of you that is seeking attention. Your inner child, whatever it may be. Yeah. That is still a fundamental part that needs to feel appreciated. So I think when you first are able to understand, like, okay, this might not be the primordial energy that I need to encompass myself completely in, the one that I need to give the most love, but I still need to appreciate it, like, just for what it is. And then you can love others, I think.
And this is what I would say is the sense of God loves you. God has created you. God has created you with a purpose. And earlier you said, you know, all of those great masters, they looked in themselves to get to the higher point. And this is where I think where Jesus differs from Buddha and all of the Eastern teachers, because Jesus didn't look in himself. Jesus looked to God, and God told him, "You are my beloved son. Today I have begotten you." This is in the baptism of Jesus in all four Gospels. And from that, Jesus takes the energy and the confidence to go out and to love others, because he knows, I don't have to take care of myself. I can trust God. God loves me so much that he will take care of me. He will take care of my path. I can trust him. And this selflessness, I wouldn't say this is self-love. This is selflessness that enables him to go all the way and to say, I will die on the cross for those humans, even though they hate me. I mean, the humans there, like when Jesus was on the cross, and this is in Luke, I believe, Jesus says when he hangs on the cross, God, forgive them, for they don't know what they're doing. Jesus himself, he was so selfless, so loving towards others, that he could say, no matter what they do to me, I don't matter so much. I care more for them. And this is the love that I believe what Christians are supposed to show. We seldomly ever show that kind of love. And I see that as really the biggest criticism towards Christianity is Christians. Really, there's no, I would say, personally, I would take no argument as better than this one, because really...
But I mean, but...
Yeah.
I mean, like the Buddha, when he, for example, reached enlightenment, it was also a complete let go. Just suffering of everything as a self-love, a complete selflessness. So I agree with you that we have to be selfless 100%. But I think, I don't know, I think that the road to selflessness first comes to, like, you get to a road where you realize there is so much love you can only give to yourself. Like, love, if you were to give yourself, if you would think of yourself like, okay, I need to love myself, I need to love myself, I need to love myself, I need to love myself. That's a question that allows you to be selfless. Because I think when it comes down to it, it's like, I need to love myself, I need to love myself. Then you go into that thought a little bit more. Why do I need to love myself? Why do I not think that I am loved? Who says that I am not loved if not myself? If people love me, if God loves me, the universe loves me, then what's stopping me from loving me if not only me? So it's a thought that goes and goes and goes. And then I think you come to a realization where it's like, wait, I'm seeking something that I already am. I'm seeking something that is already given to me.
Exactly.
But I don't think without that seeking and without wanting to at least love and appreciate yourself, you can get to that point. Because it's kind of like, it's kind of like the doorstep where it's like, you're trying to go in. It's not allowing you to keep going. It's not allowing you to express that energy of love and feel it more, because it's like you're going the wrong way.
Yeah.
But you reached the peak of the wrong way. Yeah. So now you're able to see another way.
And there's my question. Why do we tell people you have to love yourself more? Why don't we tell them God loves you? You can only accept it.
You're loved.
Yeah, you are loved.
You think?
Well, I mean, if we say you are loved, it gets a little bit fuzzy with, okay, yeah, and? But I mean, you have to add to it. What or who is it that loves you? I mean, if love is not something between one and oneself. Love is a relationship. Yeah. So if you see yourself as a collective, I guess you can say that you love yourself. If, in my perspective, there is God and there is us as individuals, then there is a relationship as well. God loves us. And really, love as the basis for everything, I think it's also one of the most important things for self-development.
Yes.
So
you have to come from a place of love. Whether you're looking for self-love, love from the outside, or just to give love, I think that's a big foundation. Because I think any successful person, they didn't get to where they are just because they wanted to be happy. They wanted to be loved. No, they wanted to share something with the world. And then it's that sharing, that dedication of, okay, I believe this is going to help people, that push them forward. Because I think individually, you can only go so far if you're doing something for yourself. But if you're doing something for example, make your family live a better life, there's motivations of that love, not for myself, not for my own benefit, but for the benefit of others. That's the fuel that truly drives someone to actually accomplish something meaningful in life. You can only get so certain if it's only for yourself. It's like, if I'm only doing this for me, do I really love myself enough to do that? Oh, you have to have that motivation of, okay, yeah, I'm going to do this, not for me, for that person. For my mom, because she sacrificed a lot for me. Or for my friends, because they're feeling down and I can show them what it's capable of doing. So it's the love that you actually have for others that is going to push you. I'm going to put myself outside the box, for example, right now, and speak and just say all these things. And maybe I'm wrong. And maybe in 5 years, if I go meditate and I listen to this talk, I'm going to be completely wrong and be like, wow, you were so ignorant. You were talking about such an egotistic mind. And I'm completely fine. But I'm still trying to pursue that.
Yes.
And deep inside, I'm not doing this for me. Sometimes I might get confused along the way. But I'm not doing this for me. I'm doing this to share something with the world and discover that along the way.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And I mean, I didn't intend to say that you're an egotistic person, because I really see you're an amazing person. You're someone who is really pursuing the benefit of others. I just think that the terms, how you use it, I do not really like. Maybe it opened your mind to a different way of articulating this as well, because really, like, promoting self-love is something that I really find counterproductive. And really, to tell people that they don't love themselves,
I'm not saying they don't love themselves. And okay, maybe when I say love yourself, I might mean more like or from my point of view, it's those parts of you, like your anger, your emotions, have that compassionate, even like your own inner critic, or like those parts that are like, I should have done this, I shouldn't have done that, and maybe over things gets confused. Like, okay, love that, love your mistakes, love your failures, love what you do, because at the end of the day, if you keep focusing on the bad and you don't believe that you're capable of doing anything good, it's going to be very difficult to accomplish something. Yes. But once you gain maybe a better understanding of, like, okay, I might be confident, I believe in myself, I have that, okay, then I can love, because it's like, okay, it's love. Why not? So I still think it's necessary for you to get to at least a point where it might not necessarily be love, but just complete acceptance of yourself, of your parts, of forgiving yourself. Because I think forgiveness, compassion, these are powerful tools that we have. And I was reading I was looking at this Tao. I don't know what his name is, but he's been practicing Taoism for like 30 years and teaching people. One of his meditation techniques is appreciating his body. So, but not from like a superficial standpoint of view, just like a heart, gathering those feelings of emotions, that energy of love, of compassion that comes from within. It's like, okay, now I feel love for my body. Now I'm safe. I'm in peace. I'm in sync. Okay, that energy is going to attract energy from the outside, and you're going to put yourself into that frequency. So it's kind of like a love that comes from inside. Like, you still have to channel it somehow, you know? You have to be able to amend yourself into that frequency and be like, okay, I am capable of love. I am loved. I am appreciated. But you have to, in a sense, tell yourself that and embody those energies. And then they're going to be reflected. I'm not saying that love should just be all for you, because that's not love. Love is love for everyone. Love is something that doesn't want to take, nor it's just something that gives. Yeah. That's love. But you have to embody that. Like, I'm going to give myself the chance of fail. I'm going to give myself the chance of being vulnerable. I'm going to give my chance of love others no matter what happens. I'm going to take the leap of faith. But it's important to have that confidence and build that inner courage within yourself as well. Because if you don't have that, it's very difficult. So,
yeah. So, and I think we can leave it at this point for
Yes.
today. Thank you, everyone that listened all this way.
Yeah, it was quite long today, but
Oh, yes. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
We, hope you enjoyed this conversation today. We are looking forward to getting feedback, to getting questions that you have, and
I think next week we should try to bring someone in.
Oh yeah. We would, if anyone lives close to here, would like to come join us, we'll want to offer this opportunity to also hear your voice once and to share your opinion with us. And thank you so much again, and
See you next week.
Yep.